Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of Jefferson Nickels' worth and value, iconic U.S. coins with surprising stories and hidden treasures. In this video, we'll explore the top 3 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare Jefferson Nickels from the United States of America, including 1992 P Jefferson Nickel, 2002 D Jefferson Nickel, and 2001 D Jefferson Nickel. These are copper nickel-clad 5-cent coins that may look ordinary at first glance. Some even appear dirty, damaged, or heavily circulated. But don't be fooled. Certain examples show unusual red to dark brown toning, rare mint errors, or striking anomalies that have shocked collectors and changed lives. Coins just like these have sold for thousands, and in rare cases even millions of dollars in today's market. So before you spend that old nickel in your pocket, stick around, because you might be holding a hidden fortune in your hands. First up, coin number 1. Most people have walked past a fortune without ever realizing it. They hear the word nickel and their brain instantly switches off because 5 cents sounds powerless. But history does not care about face value. History cares about rarity, mistakes, timing, and survival. Today we are opening one of the most controversial and misunderstood chapters in modern U.S. coin stories, the 1992 P Jefferson Nickel, a coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and is treated as ordinary, yet carries a reputation that has quietly shocked serious collectors for years. The 1992 P Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying no mint mark, which already places it in a unique psychological space. Coins without mint marks are often overlooked because people assume they are common. In 1992, the U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of nickels using copper nickel-clad composition, pushing equipment hard to meet demand. When production runs are long and pressure is high, small irregularities can slip through unnoticed. Those irregularities are where stories begin, not the kind written in textbooks, but the kind whispered in collector rooms. What makes certain 1992 P Jefferson Nickels different is not shine or beauty, but behavior. Some examples surfaced showing unusual red, rust-like, deep brown, or burnt tone coloration that did not match typical nickel aging. These colors raised eyebrows because nickel is not supposed to age like copper alone. Yet here were coins doing exactly that. The surface reactions, the way light hit the metal, and how the color settled into worn areas created confusion, curiosity, and obsession. When a coin breaks expectations, collectors stop laughing and start studying. Now comes the part most people get wrong. They believe damage kills value. Scratches, dirt, heavy wear, all signs of something worthless, right? In reality, some of the most talked about 1992 P Jefferson Nickels are heavily circulated, darkened, scarred, and ugly by traditional standards. These coins survived years of handling, chemical exposure, heat, moisture, and friction. Instead of hiding their secrets, that abuse sometimes revealed them. Strange toning patterns, uneven surfaces, and unexpected textures became visible only because the coin lived a hard life. There is something unsettling about realizing that a coin most people would reject is the exact kind collectors examine most closely. Because collectors don't just see damage, they see evidence. Evidence of abnormal metal behavior, evidence of possible planchet issues, evidence that this coin did not follow the rules it was supposed to follow. And when rules break, value becomes unpredictable. Stories spread quietly at first. A collector notices a strange 1992 P nickel in a roll. Another sees one with similar coloring years later. Someone compares weights. Someone else notices magnet reactions don't feel identical. None of this screams $1,000,000 to the public, but to collectors, patterns matter more than price guides. When patterns appear, competition follows, and competition is what pushes small objects into big money territory. The reason people hear whispers of unbelievable values is not because every 1992 P. Jefferson nickel is special. Most are not. The shock comes from the idea that one coin, slightly different, slightly wrong, slightly off, can change everything. That is how the coin world works. A single survivor from a flawed batch can become the centerpiece of obsession, and obsession does not obey logic or limits. Imagine pulling a nickel from a drawer, one you nearly spent, noticing it looks darker than normal. You turn it under light and see deep brown tones where silver gray should be. You feel its surface, worn but strange. That moment, that pause, is the moment fortunes are either lost or saved. Because the people who rush lose. The people who question win. What makes the 1992 P. Jefferson Nickel story viral is how close it sits to everyday life. This is not a coin locked behind glass. It is not ancient. It is not gone. These coins still exist in circulation, still mixed with normal nickels, still passed from hand to hand by people who have no idea what they just spent. That reality makes the story uncomfortable because it means opportunity is being wasted every single day. The phrase overnight fortune sounds dramatic, but history proves that sudden value shifts do happen, not because a coin magically becomes rich, but because the right buyer meets the right example at the right time. One collector's curiosity becomes another collector's rivalry, and rivalry turns into money. Serious money. The kind that changes how families remember a simple 5-cent coin forever. The real power of this coin is not what it guarantees, but what it demands: attention. It demands patience. It demands restraint. Anyone can spend a nickel. Very few people know when not to. And that difference separates regret from discovery. Cleaning the coin destroys clues. Ignoring the toning destroys opportunity. Rushing destroys value. The most shocking truth is that the worst-looking coins are often the most dangerous to underestimate. Dirt hides stories, wear exposes truth, and history does not reward the careless. The 1992 P. Jefferson Nickel sits quietly at the center of that lesson, waiting for someone curious enough to look twice. So before you spend that old nickel, before you toss it aside because it looks damaged or worthless, remember this story. Remember that value does not always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in discoloration, sometimes it hides in neglect, and sometimes it hides in your pocket. Stay with me, because once you see coins this way, you will never look at money the same again. Most people never imagined that a 5-cent coin could carry danger, mystery, and the power to flip a life upside down. A nickel feels harmless, small, forgettable. But the truth is, some coins don't announce their value with shine or perfection. Some coins hide their power behind damage, dirt, and neglect. Today, we step into one of the most unsettling modern coin stories in America, the 2002 D. Jefferson Nickel, a coin struck for everyday use, yet surrounded by whispers that refuse to die. The year 2002 was a tense moment in U.S. coin production. Demand was high, machinery was aging, and speed mattered more than beauty. The Denver Mint, marked by the familiar D, pushed millions of Jefferson nickels into circulation, each made of standard copper-nickel-clad metal. On paper, nothing about this coin should stand out. No precious metal, no special release, no warning label. And that is exactly why its story is so dangerous, because nobody was paying attention. Over time, collectors began noticing something unsettling. Certain 2002D Jefferson Nickels did not age like they were supposed to. Instead of the normal dull gray nickel tone, some developed deep red, burnt orange, chocolate brown, and dark smoky coloration. Not surface dirt, not simple corrosion. The metal itself seemed to react differently. Light behaved differently on these coins. Wear exposed strange layers. And once collectors notice behavior that breaks expectations, curiosity turns into obsession. Here is where most people make their biggest mistake. They believe a valuable coin must be clean, polished, perfect. The reality is far more uncomfortable. Many of the most discussed 2002D nickels are heavily circulated, scratched, bent, darkened, and ugly. Coins that look abused, rejected, and worthless. But damage doesn't always destroy value. Sometimes it reveals it. Years of circulation expose the truth of the metal, stripping away illusions and showing what the coin really is. Collectors began pulling these nickels from coin rolls, pocket change, and old containers, not because they looked expensive, but because they looked wrong. The color settled into the deepest worn areas. The texture felt uneven. The surfaces told a story of abnormal reaction over time. These were not mint-fresh curiosities. These were survivors. And survival is a powerful word in the coin world. Rumors of extreme values do not come from fantasy. They come from competition. When two collectors believe a coin represents a rare anomaly, logic collapses. The market stops following rules. Prices are no longer tied to metal or denomination, but to belief, scarcity, and proof. That is how 5-cent coins enter conversations that sound insane to outsiders, not because every coin is worth millions, but because one example can rewrite expectations. The phrase, overnight fortune, makes people laugh until it happens. Coin history is full of moments where something ignored for decades suddenly becomes the center of attention. The moment awareness shifts, the moment information spreads, the moment demand spikes, everything changes. The 2002D Jefferson Nickel lives in that dangerous space where discovery is still possible, but ignorance is still winning. What makes this story viral is not the price, it's the proximity. These coins are not locked away, they are not extinct, they are still being spent. Still passed hand to hand, still ignored by people who assume damage equals worthlessness. Somewhere today, someone will spend a coin that someone else would have protected, studied, and questioned. That gap between knowledge and action is where fortunes disappear. There is also a silent warning hidden in this story. Cleaning a coin destroys evidence. Polishing removes clues. Rushing destroys opportunity. The coin world does not reward speed, it rewards restraint. The people who lose are the ones who assume. The people who win are the ones who pause and ask why. Imagine holding a nickel you nearly spent, noticing its dark tone, its worn edges, its strange surface. Imagine realizing that its history is written not in shine, but in scars. That moment of hesitation is the difference between loss and discovery, between regret and legacy, between spending 5 cents and protecting something far more powerful. The most uncomfortable truth is this: the coins that look the worst are often the ones that deserve the closest look. Dirt hides stories, wear exposes truth, damage reveals behavior. And the 2002D Jefferson Nickel has become a symbol of that lesson, a reminder that value does not always shine, sometimes it survives. So before you spend that nickel, before you toss it aside because it looks damaged or ugly, remember this story. Remember that history doesn't beg for attention. Sometimes it waits quietly, disguised as nothing. Stay with me, because once you most people believe a 5-cent coin has no power, no mystery, no future. They toss it in drawers, car cup holders, or spend it without a second thought. But history has proven again and again that the smallest coins sometimes carry the biggest secrets. Today, we are stepping into one of the most shocking and controversial stories in American coin collecting, the 2001 Jefferson Nickel, a coin so ordinary on the surface yet so misunderstood that collectors around the world still debate its true potential. This is not just a coin story. This is a warning, a mystery, and possibly a life-changing discovery. The 2001 Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, carrying the familiar D mint mark that millions of Americans have seen countless times. On paper, it is a simple copper-nickel-clad 5-cent coin. No silver, no gold, no obvious luxury. Yet this coin entered circulation during a time when U.S. minting processes were under intense pressure, equipment was aging, and quality control was not always perfect. That is where the story begins to change, because when systems are stressed, mistakes happen, and mistakes are where legends are born. What makes certain 2001 Jefferson Nickels stand out at first glance is not beauty, but strangeness. Some examples surfaced with unusual red, chocolate brown, or dark burnt toning, colors that should not normally appear on a standard nickel. These tones were not decorative, they raised questions. Was it environmental exposure, planchet contamination, improper metal mixing, or something far deeper? Collectors noticed that some of these coins aged differently, reacted differently, and behaved differently under magnification. And once collectors notice patterns, the hunt begins. Now here is where most people make a fatal mistake. They assume a valuable coin must be shiny, clean, and perfect. The truth is the opposite. Some of the most talked about Jefferson Nickels from 2001 are dirty, scratched, damaged, and heavily circulated. Coins that look abused, ignored, even rejected. These bad condition coins are often the ones hiding unusual surfaces, strange metal reactions, and unexpected characteristics that clean coins do not show. In the coin world, ugly can sometimes be priceless. Stories began circulating within collectors' circles of nickels pulled from pocket change, coin rolls, and old jars that sparked intense interest, not because they looked expensive, but because they didn't look normal. Under certain lighting, the color shifted. Under magnification, the surface texture told a different story. Weight differences, hardness differences, and odd toning behavior turned these 5-cent coins into subjects of serious discussion. And when serious collectors start talking quietly, prices can move loudly. There is a reason rumors exist of Jefferson Nickels reaching unbelievable values. It's not because every coin is worth millions, it's because specific, rare, unexplained examples ignite competition. When two collectors believe a coin represents something unique, an undocumented error, a rare metal interaction, or a one-time anomaly, money stops being logical. Auctions stop being predictable, and values stop making sense to outsiders. This is how small coins shock the world. Imagine holding a coin you once ignored, only to realize it might be one of a tiny number that survived circulation while carrying an abnormal identity. Imagine learning that the very damage you thought ruined it is what revealed its secret. This is why experts constantly warn people, never clean old coins, never dismiss discoloration, and never assume a low-denomination coin has a low ceiling. History has punished those assumptions many times before. The phrase overnight fortune sounds exaggerated until it happens. Coins have turned janitors into collectors, collectors into investors, and investors into legends. Not because of luck, but because of patience and awareness. The 2001 Jefferson Nickel sits in that dangerous space between common and extraordinary. Most are worth 5 cents, a few may be worth far more. and the difference is often invisible to the untrained eye. What makes this story truly viral is that these coins are still out there. They are not locked away in museums. They are still hiding in circulation, mixed with normal nickels, spent every day by people who have no idea what they are holding. That is what makes this story powerful. This is not ancient history. This is happening now. Somewhere, someone is spending a coin today that could change their financial story tomorrow. The shocking part is not the value itself, it is how close opportunity sits to ignorance. One decision separates loss from discovery. Spend it quickly or look twice. Dismiss it as dirty or question why it looks the way it does. The world of coin collecting rewards curiosity and punishes carelessness. And the 2001 Jefferson Nickel is a perfect example of that truth. So before you toss that worn nickel aside, before you spend it without thinking, remember this story. Remember that history does not always shine. Sometimes it hides behind scratches, stains, and neglect. Sometimes it waits in the smallest denominations. And sometimes the coin that looks like nothing is everything. Stay with me, because what comes next will change how you look at every coin you touch.